That was clearly illegal. That was very, very illegal. We were very disappointed, Toli. We are aware that people from our neighboring countries do come and collect ARVs in South Africa. But the fact that they are holding them in numbers and bringing a shortage in South Africa is very, very disappointing.
Cabinet expressed its disappointment and disquiet about the buckets of antiretroviral drugs and other prescription medications, the theft of prescription medicine, in particular ARVs, also undermines the fight against an HIV-free region. Cabinet calls on all foreign nationals to be well-mannered guests in South Africa.
It is regrettable and disheartening, and it can anger many of us. This is regrettable and disappointing.
Imagine this: a bus barreling down the N1 highway, overloaded with 91 passengers. That's 30 more than it was built to carry. It's October 12th, 2025, and this death trap veers off a mountain pass near Mikado, flipping into a ravine. 43 lives snuffed out, mostly Zimbabwean and Malawian nationals. 48 more clinging to life in hospitals. But wait, folks, this isn't just a tragic accident. Amid the twisted metal and scattered bodies, rescuers uncover buckets of antiretroviral drugs, prescription meds, and condoms. No paperwork, no explanations. Just blatant smuggling, right under our noses. This is the Limpopo bus crash, a horrifying symbol of how illegal immigration is draining South Africa dry. And today, we're ripping the lid off this mess. No sugarcoating, no excuses, just the raw truth. Let's break it down, step by step. What happened? A long-distance bus from Gebraha in the Eastern Cape, headed north to Zimbabwe and Malawi, loses control on a steep pass. Overloaded? Absolutely. Certified for 61, but crammed with 91 souls. Driver error, fatigue, mechanical failure. Sure, investigations are ongoing, but let's call it what it is. A recipe for disaster fueled by corruption. How does an overloaded bus travel through multiple provinces without a single cop pulling it over? Bribes. Blind eyes. This screams systemic rot in our law enforcement. And then, the kicker. Those buckets of ARVs, stolen from our government clinics, folks. Our taxpayer-funded meds, meant for South Africans battling HIV, being smuggled out like cheap contraband. Why did this happen? Simple. Greed and exploitation. These buses aren't just transport. They're pipelines for crime. Overloading maximizes profits for shady operators, often tied to cross-border syndicates. And the meds? That's the real outrage. Foreign nationals flood our clinics, grab free ARVs by the bucket load, and ship them home where they're scarce or expensive. It's not charity. It's theft. Our healthcare system, already on its knees with over 8 million HIV cases, gets raided. Shortages hit South Africans hard. Longer queues, denied treatments, rising resistance to drugs. Why does this even exist? Because our borders are sieves. Illegal immigration isn't a victimless crime. It's a full-scale invasion on our resources. Jobs, housing, healthcare, all strained to breaking point by unchecked influx from failing neighbors. Now let's dissect the officials' responses. These aren't outsiders. They're ANC heavyweights who've been in power while this festered.
N1 North Mikado, Limpopo cross-border bus accident. Cabinet extended its condolences to the governments and the people of Zimbabwe and Malawi on the loss of 43 lives of their nationals who perished in a bus accident along the N1 North in Mikado, Limpopo on Sunday, the 12th October 2025. Furthermore, Cabinet expressed its disappointment and disquiet about the buckets of antiretroviral drugs and other prescription medications, condoms, I'm sure they can be fine, which were discovered among the wreckage of the bus with no documentation for medical cargo. A full-scale investigation has been launched, and law enforcement agencies are also treating this accident as a potential case of pharmaceutical smuggling. The theft of prescription medicine, in particular ARVs, also undermines the fight against an HIV-free region, because people who are using those medications, because they are not continuous, they are going to develop resistance, and thus creating a problem for the fight against ARV. And South Africa, as the largest, as a country facing the largest HIV pandemic, are going to be worst hit by that. So as South Africans, we need to stand strongly against those who steal our medication. Cabinet calls on all foreign nationals to be well-mannered guests in South Africa, and reminds everyone that it took a lot of effort to stop the recent unsavory treatment meted out against foreign nationals at local clinics. Unfortunately, the proof that confirms brazen theft of medicines from the government clinics do not assist efforts to restore conditions for foreign nationals to access public health care in South Africa.
As a final question, Minister, we are still on the same subject, but slightly differently. The bus accident that occurred in Makhado this week, something very crucial was found there, and we are told that there were tons. Well, I suppose it is a bit exaggerated, but it was certainly a lot of ARVs that were found on that bus. And the understanding is that it was headed either to Zimbabwe, and there were also Malawian nationals. Is that allowed to take drugs from one country to the next without any checks?
No, that was clearly illegal. That was very, very illegal, and we're expecting that the Border Management Authority will catch them at the borders. We were very disappointed, truly. We are aware that people from our neighboring countries do come and collect ARVs in South Africa. And if they were collecting monthly portions, it would have been much better. But the fact that they are holding them in numbers and bringing a shortage in South Africa is very, very disappointing. This matter was discussed in cabinet today, and the minister in the presidency, Minister Ntshavheni, will be addressing the nation about it tomorrow.
And as we wrap, Premier, Minister Motsoaledi says they are disappointed as cabinet to learn that some foreign nationals were found to be illegally transporting ARVs and other chronic medication to Zimbabwe during this recent bus accident on the N1. What's the latest on this claim?
Yes, I think having been on the scene after the crash, first thing in the morning, indeed, there were some of those medications. But however, what we appeal to South Africans, for us, even when we saw that and when we realized that it is regrettable and disheartening and it can anger many of us, we handed over the scene to the police. The police now are busy investigating, and part of the investigations were very clear to them to say it will be also those medications, to say how did they end up where they are and what has happened, where are they coming from. So until such time, it will be difficult for us to really comment to say the medication is coming from where. But it is, of course, I agree with the minister that this is regrettable and disappointing.
Minister in the presidency, Khumbudzo Ntshavheni, steps up, extending condolences. Fair enough. But then slams the smuggling as undermining our HIV fight. She warns that stolen ARVs breed drug resistance, hitting South Africa hardest. And get this, she calls on foreign nationals to be well-mannered guests and admits this theft fuels hate, undoing efforts to stop xenophobic attacks at clinics. Deep division? You bet. But Khumbudzo, where were you when our borders were wide open? This didn't happen overnight. It's years of ANC complacency. Then Health Minister Motsoaledi chimes in, Very, very illegal. No kidding. He admits neighbors come for ARVs, but blasts bulk hoarding for causing shortages here. Monthly portions? Fine, he says. But this? Disappointing. Aaron, you're the health minister. Why haven't you clamped down on clinic access? Your shock rings hollow when your policies enabled it. And Limpopo Premier Phophi Ramathuba, on the ground first. She confirms the meds, calls it regrettable and disheartening, and says it can anger many of us. She's right, it does. But then she hands it to police, focusing on saving lives. Noble, but Phophi, as an ANC leader, you've seen the strain. Why the surprise? Your words acknowledge the rage, yet the government you represent has let illegal immigrants exploit us for years. All three, ANC through and through, act shocked, but they've allowed porous borders, weak enforcement, and free-for-all access to our systems. Hypocrisy at its finest. South Africans? We're furious. This isn't xenophobia, it's self-defense. Our people are tired of waiting in endless lines while foreigners loot our resources. Enter Operation Dudula, the movement the government loves to hate. Labeled vigilantes, they've been fighting illegal immigration head-on, marching against exploitation. The ANC slams them as xenophobic. But look, even officials admit the strain is real. Dudula's been vindicated by this crash, proof that our systems are being drained. We stand with Dudula and any group putting South Africa first. No more complacency. This Limpopo tragedy isn't isolated, it's a wake-up call. Illegal immigration is bleeding us dry, and the ANC's feigned shock won't cut it. We're fed up. Time to secure borders, prioritize citizens, and fight back. South Africa for South Africans. No apologies. Watch the video on your left to see Mayor Nasipi Moya dealing with illegal foreigners who hijacked our land. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. Until next time.